Hey folks, this is Ben. Yes, I was making a video earlier today, just now, but the phone rang, so I didn't want you guys to have to deal with the phone. If that happens again, I'll just try to deal with it. Um, so it's still kind of the morning here, just having some breakfast, some pomegranate and grapefruit. I'm gonna have some chicken curry here in a bit. Um, Try to eat healthy. Main topic here I'm going to address in this video, though, has to do with something that was brought to my attention from High Impact Flicks. Now, High Impact Flicks, it's a guy who, I guess you could say, is a pretty hardcore conspiracy theorist. So, a lot of people don't really take him too seriously. And as these sort of things go, I fall somewhere in the middle between not taking guys like that very seriously and guys that want to take every single word he says and take it like the Bible truth of what's going on. I fall somewhere in the middle. I'm in neither camp. But if anything, I probably lean a little bit closer to the conspiracy theorists. But I'm not really completely in their camp. Anyway, it's just a lot to, I mean, like, well, anyway, we won't get into that. But if you guys have seen some of my other videos, you know what my politics are like. I'm more conservative, generally speaking, and I am very independent. I don't like anything establishment-ish, of course. So, this guy, High Impact Flicks, I can't remember what his name is, whatever, he, it's funny because he doesn't really have an annoying voice, but he often sounds a little bit upset. Maybe that is something he does on purpose. Maybe he does not aware of it, but it doesn't. It's kind of annoying. That's just why I don't watch all of his videos. It's just the tone of his voice. At any rate, so High Impact Flicks, he's talking about this Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon thing that happened 3 days ago, where they explain that they often get their names mixed up. And then it's a funny skit, supposedly funny, of course. Well, they realize that they have a lot more in common than they, realize, so that they're understanding why people might mix them up. But some of the things that they bring up, the guy in high impact flick, the guy in High Impact Flicks, right? He gets into how it's all this secret language having to do with um, Pizzagate. And I don't want to get into that subject too much because it's really nasty and everything. But yeah, basically, High Impact Flicks is saying that Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel are establishment puppets, Illuminati friendly, uh, and that everything that they were doing in that skit pretty much was hinting of a secret language to hint at advocating pedophilia, essentially. And it's like he had some really good points. I have to say this is one of these things where I have to reserve judgment until, for at least for Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel, until I see more. I'm not saying that these guys are both late night talk show guys, and so because they have a real public persona, there kind of be has some connections there, right, with the establishment, and they're going to be saying things that they're told that they should do and not do by executives and NBC and whatever else. And I understand all that the big corporations are, I understand all that, folks. Believe me, I do. I don't like to think about it, but I do understand this stuff. So, yeah. I mean, it's really nasty. The thing is that you could dislike what Fallon and Kimmel, what they did, just based on the topic of sex and the topic of my religion, which they kind of infer that, uh, you know, there's a lot of. I won't get into that. It's very poor taste. It's in very poor taste. But then again, Jimmy Fallon's show, Jimmy Kimmel's show, has always, to one extent or another, been in more poor taste. Some more than others. And by the way, when it comes to this kind of stuff, I don't watch late talk show stuff. I just don't. I see little clips of it on YouTube here and there. The general trend I've seen, though, with regard to talk shows, post, I don't know, everything at least Johnny Carson, after Johnny Carson, and I guess there's this guy who's named Dick Cavett. I've been watching his stuff a lot. So the Dick Cavett, Johnny Carson, Jack Parr era was very different, in my opinion. Then Letterman and Jay Leno era was a little bit, yeah, and it was getting there a little bit, and then at times, and then you had Conan O'Brien, Craig Ferguson, but then more especially Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon. And there's probably feelers I'm forgetting about as well. But oh yeah, of course you have Stephen Colbert and the other guys. Anyway, yeah. So, but no, things have gotten worse just in terms of the content of what is allowable on these shows. This is called pretty common knowledge, and you could dislike Fallon and Kimmel because of that, for its own sake, how callous they are, or just how, like the content itself just speaks for itself. You don't even have to think that there's some kind of conspiracy going on to not even to think that their shows are wrong and evil. So, kind of to be honest, this whole stuff that he's talking about, high impact flicks, it's kind of really just cherry on top. It's not really all that shocking, considering what else they've been doing on their shows for a while. So people can talk about how various, I won't say what, but so kinds of things that are just because they seem to be more common in humanity somewhat, that they're not a big deal, but, well, I don't make the rules, right? I just know what's right and wrong. It's just there's a lot of, the more that with every passing year, it just seems like the world's getting more evil. And so it shouldn't take this kind of little show, in my opinion, to really say to oneself, maybe I shouldn't watch these guys as often. Maybe not at all. But I'm not going to say watching the shows are evil. I'm just saying there's some pretty disgusting stuff going on, most likely. Well, at least we're talking about Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel. There definitely are some things going on that speak to their characters not being all that great. Now, you could like them. You could say, "Oh, I like Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon. They're so fun and friendly." And what you're talking about more is their stage poise, their ability to be a late talk show host and just bring in ratings and views. And you're not really talking about what they're like in their personal lives. You're not talking about their characters so much. You're just talking about how much you're entertained. Well, at least that kind of person is talking about how much they're entertained. And it's just a very different kind of thing, folks, than someone's character. The more that someone does things that are not right, unethical, evil, wrong, you can go on about this, but the more that someone is an unethical person or a unrighteous person even, the more that they're gonna be tempted to, be bribed be able to do whatever it is that the Illuminati wants them to do. So I guess my main video here is it's a somewhat of a response to high impact vlogs, but also more of a response to just everybody who's watched this show or curious about this one episode or anything like that. I'm just, my message is this: probably don't watch late night talk show folks unless you like their character. And that should be a general rule of thumb for anybody you see on TV. For the most part, you shouldn't ignore somebody's character when they're entertaining you, because over time, that person's character is going to kind of get into your subconscious, your psyche. That's what you're watching. It's going to have an impact on you, a very real impact on you spiritually, on us, me. And so for that reason, you just want to be careful. You don't know what's happening until you feel like, oh my gosh, It's just, I don't know, man. It's a weird thing. It's not something that you can prove. Just like you can't. There's a lot of things you can't prove, tangibly, I suppose. But this is a very real thing. So I mean, like, this thing could have never even come out that way. They could have never been any of that Pizzagate pedophile stuff. It could have just been them being who they usually are. But I already knew that Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon had a certain way about them that wasn't unkind. They were not. We're not talking about unkindness. We're not talking about them. There's some things that they probably won't do. They probably won't do, but we're talking about some things that they find humorous, at least, that really aren't, and they shouldn't be. All right, I think I've done the subject of justice. If you want to leave me your thoughts and comments below, that'd be great. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.